Okay, so here we are. Bryson, tell us your name, where you began teaching, and what you're doing right now as an educator.
So my name is Bryson Green. I am currently the Dean of Students over at Achievement First East New York Middle School in Brooklyn, New York. This is my 8th year in education. I came into my calling back in 2013, starting as a 5th grade teacher at Carver Academy in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Awesome. And so, Bryson, why'd you want to become a teacher?
The crazy thing is, when I think about my journey in education, and I'm thinking all the way back to my senior year in college at UW-Madison, I was really in a place of like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? And I really just leaned on some advice and some counseling that I received from some friends and mentors who were talking about, education and Teach for America and like City Year and programs like that. And I really thought about the experiences that I've had in volunteerism in college and thinking about really the professions of like my parents and my grandparents, like everybody surrounding me was literally within the realm of education. So it really felt like a calling that I was trying to run away from. And so I found myself applying into Teach for America. And when I got into the profession literally clueless, I fell in love with it. Even though it was some of the hardest work, and it still is to this day, some of the hardest work that I've ever done in my life. It's something that I absolutely love. Seeing the faces of the scholars that I work with when they achieve something, when they set a goal and they reach it, or being able to like witness their resilience when they're impacted by multiple things, whether they be in their lives or in the classroom, and just see them persevere and have the strength to go on and exist and thrive in the midst of so much calamity. I also just love like the human connection. And so like remote learning is really hard right now, but just being able to like connect with them and like celebrate alongside them and like work alongside them in this work. It's just like, it's something I'm really passionate about and something I just absolutely.
Beautiful. So, tell me like a moment or a story that really shows your strengths or abilities as an educator.
Yeah, I would really lean back when just to think of something recent, when everything just like abruptly switched in our lives and like our total like normalcy of life just changed. And back in March when of 2019, when we switched from the brick and mortar school to remote learning, there was so much that's being like thrown at us as educators, and we really had to learn on the fly. And in those moments, I really leaned on um, my strength to relate to people through the relationships that I build and establish with them. And so through those connections, knowing that like we had teachers who were like brand new to utilizing technology, we had families and scholars who like didn't even have Chromebooks at home and like had to access those materials and like learn how to navigate websites and different learning platforms and everything with that. I think in having my strength of connecting with people, I was able to really operate under the spirit of like grace and really understanding that like we all need grace in these moments and really understanding that like there are times where like technology is not going to work for everybody, or there are times where we're going to feel overwhelmed or like be frustrated because something's not loading, or like I joke around and say like every scholar's learned the word lagging or glitching this year. um, and being able to operate under the spirit of grace and understanding that like I'm going to make some errors. Scholars and families and teachers are all going to make errors, for this is the first time in which we're existing in this. But having that connection, being able to build those relationships, connect with families when they need help and support, where we're having issues in the classroom, or when teachers are feeling overwhelmed, being able to connect with them and relate and also show grace has really been like one of the things that's kept me going during these moments, because it's been extremely hard. But once again, because this is a calling for me and it's something that I'm truly passionate about, it's something that I can lean on and keeps me going during those times.
Awesome. You know that I'm like a crier. I'm just like, ah, I'm glad I didn't wear mascara. Okay, so what are some ways in which you're proud to be an alum of Alverno? What was like a learning experience, an early learning experience that maybe you remember, or like a way in which Alverno is really alive in you?
Yeah, I can actually vividly remember. I can't remember the name of the course, but I know that it was about the child psychology and how that relates to the profession of education. So um, when I first came in, I was just thinking like, okay, like you go in, you teach, you grade, you go home. And you quickly learn that's not the reality of it all. Um, and dealing with some of the behavioral issues, I had a dogmatic mindset about like why scholars reacting impulsively or why certain actions that I had as a teacher elicited certain responses from scholars and families. And so I had to learn the science behind certain behaviors. And I'm truly grateful for that course because it helped me to understand that, like, the whole science of like the prefrontal cortex is not fully formed at that age, especially when I was teaching second, third, fifth graders. And there's a lot that um, I was doing, or some implicit biases that I had, or there were certain ways in which I was socialized that was showing up in how I instructed and how I behaved in the classroom. So having those learnings has really helped me grow and develop as an educator and now as a school leader and helping others to understand like, hey, like there's a real science and biology behind this that we have to understand so that we can really figure out how to navigate those conversations with families and with scholars, especially in those heated moments um, when the lid has been flipped, as the analogy goes. So I'm like truly grateful for that experience and that learning because it's really helped shape my understanding of our scholars, and it helps me further develop my relationships with them.
Awesome. And so my last question really is, Alverno is what we call an ability-based place. So we're trying to develop people's abilities. So obviously you're serving the needs of learners and families and colleagues, and they don't know the jargon of Alverno. But how would they describe you? What are some of your abilities that they would describe you as? If you think about like Mr. Green, he's really good at X.
Oh wow, an opportunity to toot my own horn. um, okay. I would say Mr. Green's really great at establishing relationships with people because scholars don't want to learn from anyone they don't like. So building relationships, number one. Um, Mr. Green is a really great coach. He comes into our classrooms, he does observations, he's able to use rubrics and standards to say, like, this is what's happening in that space, and and has the ability to offer me feedback and follow up and follow through with the accountability that is necessary to reach those goals. I would also say that Mr. Green, I'm also thinking about like some survey results I just received. So Mr. Green is also really eager to just jump in and help and support. I think that's really important, just in light of everything that's happening right now and navigating this new platform of learning. And also like full of energy and spontaneous, and I just like love right now like running our advisory in our school community circle or assembly program that we have. And so thinking about the innovative ways of like making school fun, exciting, and engaging because no one wants to sit through a boring class, especially now that we're literally sitting at a computer screen. And so I'm just happy that like there is a space for creativity to be infused into education, whether it's in the instruction or like through the culture building things that we do at our school. And so um, education is definitely like something that I love and it's like something that I'm passionate about. And I would say that's the last thing. Like my passion comes forth in everything that I do. Whether it's a small conversation of just a check-in, or if it's like me hosting like this big school-wide program, like my passion is going to come forth in every single interaction that I have.
Awesome. Okay, so my last question for you really is there anything else that you'd like to say that's important to know about you or that you think people who are considering becoming teachers for the first time should hear?
Yeah, I would definitely share with anyone who is interested in becoming a teacher. I would share that it's truly a calling. And it's not the profession that you go into for like the fame or the fortune, but it's definitely the profession that you go into when you have a heart for people. You have a heart and a love for like learning and exploration and discovery. Um, and it's going to be hard nights. It's going to be long nights, and there will be some tears that are shed. And honestly, I have gotten a couple, so I can say there's some blood as well. But um, when you're in it and you get to reap the rewards that come from the conversations that parents have with you, from witnessing your scholars walk the stage, go and matriculate into college and graduate, and become these amazing individuals in life. Um, I think one of the most rewarding stories is like this year, my first cohort of scholars are graduating 2021 from high school, and I've already started to receive like some messages as I look on Facebook. Scholars who have been accepted to colleges are going to the armed forces, and like those things are like what warm my heart and make me say, I didn't see the results right away when I was teaching them 2013 in that fifth grade classroom, but this is why I do this work. And so it just warms my heart knowing that like these individuals had an opportunity to connect with me and they're still connected with me over years and years. Like I'm really old over the years, but they're also becoming these amazing individuals who are contributing to the greater good of our society. And so it really warms my heart to know that not only are they doing it for the greater good of society, but they're doing it for the city of Milwaukee.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. This is literally like the very first one of these, and just, oh, Bryson, this is exactly what I was hoping for. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, literally, if I can ever be helpful to you, in any, further recommendations or endorsements or, like letters of rec for doctoral programs, I don't know what your plans are for yourself, but I'm super grateful. Also, if you have like a boss who you would like me to write a really lovely letter to right now, just email me that person's email, and because I would love to just reinforce what a shining example you are of what we hope to produce. I mean, I remember being in your classroom, right? Like there was, and talk about heartbreaks, like you and I were there in a really hard day, and the fact that you stuck with that moment, but also that teaching is full of those moments and you stick with every single moment and you keep saying yes to showing up to the challenge, and that you're still there in year 8
Yeah.
is incredibly inspiring. So I'm very grateful for you, and like generally, but also really just for today. Thank you so much, and I know that like breaks from screen time are at a premium. So I will happily stop recording now and just like give you